And welcome back. Uh, what part of Belleville is your building? Hey, if I tell you where I live, you might show up at my place, Meekseek. See you then. After these messages. Don't like so long commercials. Yeah. Alright, so we're back. And now my keyboard cord is going to get caught on my mic cord and move it, but whatever. Okay, so now we've got a clean glass. It was covered in like dust or something before at the bottom. It was like gross, but alright. So here's the energy drink after it's had a chance to settle. Hopefully you can get that nice pouring ASMR in there. Alright, let's set you down here. Well, as you can see, it's got a nice color to it. So let's try out Shani's energy drink here. Well, for one thing, I used hot water to clean this glass. So now the glass is hot. So that's kind of a weird sensation. The cold liquid mixed with the warm glass. That's a great mouthfeel there, but... Actually, this isn't bad. It's like lemonade-y. Did I leave the... Hang on. Nope. I don't know how that's intermission, but whatever. I'm still here, I'm just getting something. I'm not even gonna turn off my microphone. Now it's a radio show. Alright, enough fooling around. I'll be right back. Hang on. Alright. So this is actually... Alright, so I always end any correspondence I have with Shani, like officially, like when I'm doing emails and I'm like, hey, I edited this video that we were both like in, and because you were in it, I thought blah blah blah. Anyway, anytime I end an email or something with her, I always sign off with your BFF from Canada. So she's my, so this is my BFF from my BFF from Texas, probably, right, Shani? Hopefully, I don't know. She hasn't officially endorsed that, but anyway, so this is Shani plays is Shani Thirsts from Reaction Swift Energy Drinks, and actually, I'll be honest, it's pretty good. I don't know if Chris or anyone has tried it. But yeah, I thought it would be a lot more tart, aka like sour than this. But this has actually got a nice flavor. It's a little sour, but like pretty sweet. So if it was like a really hot day and I put some ice and stuff in this, it would definitely quench my thirst and everything. Again, though, putting it in a warm glass is not the way to go. It's weird. The heat of the liquid with the flavor of it is odd. But it tastes pretty good. candidates. You should be on the airwaves. You know, I used to be a radio DJ at one point, and I even produced radio hockey games way back in the day for 800 AM CJBQ when they used to host all the Belleville Bulls and different games. I was one of the producers that they had at one point, but that was that was many lifetimes ago. We weren't even in the 2010s at that point yet, so. Shani, are you still here, or is she seen a butterfly that she went to chase? And oh, sorry, I'm back. There was just I saw a really pretty speck of dust or something that I was chasing for a while and got sidetracked. If she is still watching this, she's probably going to beat me up for saying that. By the way, my hair looks like way more red in this stream than it does in real life. Also, way more bald, but, yeah. Farewell. Oh, okay. See you later, Meek Zeke. I see that you just said you gotta go. We'll talk, I'm sure, soon. Who is your favorite hockey team? My favorite hockey team? Usually it's probably the Montreal Canadiens, if I'm honest with you. I do security for the Belleville Senators hockey team, which is the farming team for the Ottawa Senators NHL team. So if like a player gets sick or something, they'll get one of the Belleville Senators guys to go and fill in and stuff. But between you and me, they kind of suck this year. Which is fine, because it means they won't go to the playoffs, which means that the hockey season will end, and then I can have my weekends free again for me. This weekend there's no game, but every other weekend in March there was a game, and the first weekend in April there's a game. So I won't have a weekend off again until second weekend of April, which will be after my birthday, which my birthday's April 6th, if you guys wanted to get me something, you know. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think the Montreal Canadiens are my favorite hockey team. Which is odd because I grew up in Ontario, and all my older cousins and stuff that were born and grew up in Quebec, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I was born and grew up in Ontario, and I like the Montreal Canadiens, but I don't know, I like what I like. Winnipeg Jets, let me tell you, the Jets have, I think, the coolest logo of any sports team. Forget hockey, just in general sports team. I love the Winnipeg Jets logo. The team itself is pretty good. It's cool that they brought them back after they'd been missing for a while, but yeah, their logo is pretty sweet. I kind of wish that it was like, what is it? The C-17, the Canuck fighter. I think it's a C-170. I wish I could remember what the official moniker is, but the fighter or the CF-86 Sabre would be like a good plane to use instead of like the CF-18 that they use for the Jets logo. If they went with more of a vintage like Royal Canadian Air Force design with like a classic like Korean War era jet instead of the modern one, but you know, it's still a damn cool logo. I gotta say, I used to watch hockey as a kid. This is Chris saying this, by the way, in case you're watching the like recording of this later. Chris Flores says, I used to watch hockey as a kid. I think my favorite team was the New York Rangers. I still have the hockey puck signed up from one of the Rangers players. Yeah, speaking of farming teams, one of the teams that we played not too long ago was Syracuse, New York, which is the farming team for the Rangers. We also played the Rochester, New York team, but Rochester is the farming team for the Buffalo, New York Sabres. Instead of the New York Rangers, it's the New York Sabres from Buffalo instead of New York City. and for some reason their farming team was like furious. I was joking like, did somebody tell them they're closing the Kodak plant before they got here or something? Because they were like playing like they were mad. But they like, well, the one game they almost lost, and then the very last second they tied it and then won. And then it was like a Friday and a Saturday game. So the Friday they won just barely at the last second, and then the Saturday game they lost. So I don't remember. You don't remember your own birthday, Chris? You people care more about your birthdays than I do. I mean, I normally ignore my birthday because who cares? But I actually want to see if anyone does anything for my birthday for this. So I'm kind of mentioning it just to see what happens. But to be honest, yeah, I'm 37. So I'm going to be turning 38 on April the 6th. And probably nothing will happen. Especially since the pandemic hit. It's like, it's just a Thursday or whatever day. It doesn't really matter at all. Because I'm old. Chris, you're like a month or two older than me. Whenever you go on about being old, I'm like, hey! Because I'm practically the same age as you. So if you're old, then I'm old by proxy. So you're not old. Shut up. But yeah, when you get to this age, your birthday doesn't mean squat. Like, but being as how it's like my first birthday since really being part of the Shanley community, I wanted to see how much I could milk it. Speaking of Shani, did she come back after I started streaming again, or is she like... when I hit stop, did she just like not refresh or anything? Yeah, try 39 in June 21st. Can't believe it. Thanks. Yeah, exactly. We're like very similar age, Chris. So you're not really. You go on about. Oh well, it's like no, we're very close in age. So it's if you're old, then I'm old too, I guess. But again, I just wanted to see what I could get away with by mentioning my birthday, just to see if anything happened. I doubt that it will. And probably next year I won't even mention it, but I just wanted to see what would happen. So I follow another Canadian streamer, and he said that Lay's has the only good ketchup chips. I'm going to disagree with that, Hist. Are you from Canada? Or no, you're from New Jersey or something, aren't you? Or am I getting my people mixed up here? I'll tell you who has a really good ketchup potato chip. I just had some Lay's ketchup potato chips. And I sent Shani, I don't know if you were watching, but back in December, the week before Christmas, I sent Shani and Frog some care packages from Canada because we did a stream together, and a long story short, it ended up like I kind of said I would, so I did. But anyway, let's move this camera over a bit because that's bothering me. There's too much what we call lead room. There was too much space between here and here. But anyway, so that should be good. I sent Shani some ketchup chips, and she's like, what is this even? I don't even really like ketchup that much. One bite. Oh my god, these are amazing. Because they taste kind of like ketchup, but not really. That being said, in my opinion, the best ketchup chips, Lay's is pretty up there, but the best ketchup chips is actually Doritos ketchup is good. If you can get your hands on them, they're better than Lay's. They're really good. And you're like, Doritos? What? But no, it works. I mean, you put the ketchup powder onto a corn chip. Who knew? But it worked. It's my favorite ketchup chips are Doritos ketchup. They might only be a limited time thing, but yeah. So that should answer your question, Hist. The best ketchup chips are Doritos, but Lay's is pretty high quality as far as ketchup chips go. Alright, let's... I put this in a clear glass so you can see. It looks very lemonade-y. So it's actually, oh, it said on the website what flavor it is. They should actually say, besides just saying Shanny Thirst, it should say Shanny Thirst and then the actual flavor, but if you're watching Swift Lifestyles, people, just put in smaller font what actually the flavor is, not just the name of it. It's like, I think it's like strawberry raspberry or something like that. No, it's like raspberry lemonade or something, but it's good, actually. It doesn't taste like raspberries so much, because you'd think that would be more sour, but it's actually sweeter than that. I've heard ketchup chips not very good. Well, ketchup chips are like the most popular flavor in Canada, and they've been a staple of Canadian potato chips for years. And Shanny and other people who don't like ketchup at all still like ketchup chips. So Aero bars are okay. Smarties are kind of weird one too. Where are you hearing all this? It sounds like anti-Canadian propaganda you're subscribing to there, Hist, because Aero bars are alright. The chocolate is pretty good quality. The commercials always go on and on about how, like, because it's got air bubbles in it. I don't know. That's why it's called Aero. And they are always like, oh, let it melt on your tongue, and then you can feel the bubbles. That phenomenon isn't as good as they say it is in the commercial. It, like, takes forever for the chocolate to melt on your tongue. Long enough to be able to be like, oh, there's an air bubble. And then when you do, you're like, oh yeah, okay. But the chocolate is decent quality. Like, everybody in the world who isn't American makes fun of American chocolate for being, like, subpar quality. So... And Nestle Smarties are, like, British-style confectionery. Or... yeah, I think it's Nestle that makes Smarties. Anyway... So they're pretty. They're better than. I am opinionated. Hist, you were just saying you've never tried any of this stuff. I've ate this. Yeah. So Smarties, I don't know. They're all right. They're like. I don't know if they're better than M&Ms, but they're more popular in Canada slightly than M&Ms. Not much, but a little bit. Not anti-Canada, yeah. I mean, yeah. Ketchup chips are decent. Aero bars are okay. I'm not really a big candy guy anyway, so... Aero bars probably have slightly better the chocolate quality than some chocolate bars do, just because they're mass-produced and it's more expensive to get, like, good milk chocolate, so they use crappier quality. I've never been to Vancouver. I've been everywhere out east, so I've been to all the maritime provinces, so Newfoundland, PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Ontario. But I've never been west of Ontario before. So, but Ontario is enormous, and it takes like a day to drive through it, so that's why. It takes like the same amount of time almost. It would take, so there's a guy named, which you probably already know, there's a guy named, Tiberius, like, Trenus or whatever on Shanny's channel that's from Nova Scotia. And if I was to drive to his house, it would take me over 16 hours to get there. But if I was to drive to like the Manitoba Ontario border, it would be longer, even though it's like in the same province as me. So that gives you an idea of how big our province is. I was joking with Shani that you can fit Texas inside of Ontario. If you twist it and put it in the right spot, you actually can. Because Ontario is gigantic, and it's not even the biggest province. Quebec is actually geographically bigger than Ontario, but yeah. Ontario and Quebec are huge. All the Canadian provinces are. There's 50 US states, and there's only 10 provinces. And yet Canada is the second largest nation in the world. Only Russia is bigger than us. But we only have 10 provinces and 3 territories. But the provinces and territories themselves are so huge that they take up a lot of space. So, a lot of my friends moved out to Vancouver to pursue their film careers. And a lot of them had success, but then got like homesick and moved back. So I don't even think I know anyone in Vancouver anymore. Well, I know a few people that moved out there and then I lost touch with them. So theoretically they're still out there, but I don't know. Yeah, Canada is huge. 38 million people or so. Yeah, we're the 6th smallest in terms of the population per capita. We have the 6th lowest population per capita of any nation in the world. There's more people in California than there is in all of Canada. Yeah, population density. That's the what I was looking for. We're very tiny in terms of population country. Most of us live within what is it, like 30 kilometers or no? It's within 100 kilometers of the U.S. border, but like if you look at a map of the population, they're all along the Canada-U.S. border, and then the rest of Canada is just like wilderness, but still. It is pretty. There's a lot of country. Like, Shani always goes on and on about visiting Canada, and I'm like, if you came to visit and we had enough time, we would go an hour or two up north, and I'd take you to Algonquin Park, and you'd live the full Canada just there alone. That's where all the Group of 7 paintings were painted and stuff, and I've been there, and yeah, just driving down the highway, there's like moose hanging out at the side of the road, like, oh hey, what's up? I'm a gigantic ass moose. Or like bears are just like, oh hey, I was just about to cross this Canadian highway, and they're like, you see like all these like wild animals that are like, you know, in a zoo or whatever normally, but they're just like hanging out, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then on the other hand, you're like, I know a lot of people that camp out there, and if there's just random bears walking around, I don't really know that I'd want to, but I'm not a Canadian hater by any means. Would be more interested in the States. Canadians have told me that U.S. road systems is better. Ah, Shani, your name changed colors. That was a weird pause there, but yeah, so your thing is pretty tasty. I don't know when you tuned out. I did mention a few times that I thought you were gone, but yeah, welcome back. Have you tried this, Shani? Even though it's your drink, it's pretty good. I thought it'd be a lot more sour, but it's good. I never accused you of that. I just was saying that you were saying all this Canadian food that's popular sucked and that you read it somewhere. So I was like, I don't know where you're getting your information from, but it sounds like they weren't super positive about Canada. I never said you weren't positive. I just said where you were getting your information from wasn't positive. Yeah, no, Hist and I are good. We cool, Hist. We cool. Yeah. I don't know. I was telling Hist that the best ketchup chip is Doritos, which isn't what I sent you, Shani. I sent you Lay's because Lay's is the most popular ketchup chip. Lay's and Humpty Dumpty are the two most popular ketchup chips. Humpty Dumpty is not my cousin. Actually, worked for that company for years. It's my mom's cousin, so like my second cousin or whatever. But they're not as big as they were in the '90s. Like they've really gone downhill. I don't even. I guess they still exist, but they've downgraded a lot. Smarties again. Technically, Smarties are British. They make them in Toronto, but they're the British recipe and stuff. And we export them to other Commonwealth countries, but not to the U.S. for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, I was gonna send you the next time I send you a care package, Shani. I was gonna send you Doritos. I think the Doritos ketchup chips might be seasonal though, so it depends whether I can get my hands on them because they'll like discontinue them for a while and then bring them back, and they taste way better than the Lay's ones. Lay's ones are decent. I know you liked the Lay's ones, but the Doritos ones they on a corn chip instead of a potato chip they taste better. I don't know why, it does, Shani. So at some point I will send you some Doritos. Plus the Canadian Doritos specifically use the like old like 1960s looking Doritos logo, or at least they did. I don't know if by the time you get them they still will. And I think that's kind of cool too. Because like, you know, you have the modern Doritos with like the D I think is like an actual chip or whatever, but like they've got like the one that the logo that they made for Doritos originated in Disneyland as like you could only buy them there, and then they spread out to the rest of the US and then eventually Canada and the rest of the world. But yeah, so the Canadian specific flavors of Doritos still use the vintage Doritos logo, so you can always tell if it's Canadian because the logo is like old school. I don't know why, but haven't had Canadian Kit Kats. They taste slightly different than US. Yeah, we use different chocolate than you do for different things, I've heard. Like ours is more like European style milk chocolate, whereas yours is the more mass produced but cheaper chocolate. Like ours is way more expensive to make, but we have a smaller population as we've discussed, so that's why they can afford to do it. Whereas in the US, there's just too many people buying it for them to actually afford it, right? The demand is outpaces the supply, so American chocolate has to be lower grade in general than European and Canadian chocolate. From what I've heard. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. Fancy pancakes like yours. That's cool. Hey, calf's blood? that sounds like we're doing a sacrifice or something, some kind of weird religious ritual or whatever. I have Canadian Kit Kats. I've been good. Just got my birds today. Why are we talking about vintage Dorito logos? So I was saying, calf's blood, that like ketchup chips in Canada, for example, all the Canadian variants of Doritos, you can tell on the package if they're Canadian or American because the Canadian versions of the chips have a different logo in like the corner store than the American ones. So if you buy like the regular Doritos flavor, they'll have the modern Doritos logo. But if you buy ketchup chips, Dorito ketchup chips, or one of the flavors that's not available in the US, the Canadian ones use the vintage Doritos logo, whereas the American and Canadian ones just use the modern American Doritos logo. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's intentional or what, but it's so yeah. And I was saying that the Doritos are my favorite version of the ketchup chips. So yeah. Tim Hortons is Canada's version of Dunkin' Donuts. They're not affiliated. They're rivals. We have Dunkin' Donuts in Canada, or we did. I think that Dunkin' Donuts in Canada actually closed because they couldn't compete with Tim Hortons. Dunkin' Donuts is a rival to Tim Hortons. They're not owned, but they're not at all related. Uh, Tim Hortons is kind of more like if Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks had a kid, it would be Tim Hortons because there's Tim Hortons across the street from each other, which is a joke that they used to make about Starbucks in the 90s and stuff all the time, that there were like so many that you'd look across like a mall aisle and there'd be another one. And in Canada, it was actually true for a while. You'd be in a Tim Hortons looking out the window, and across the street you could see from inside your Tim Hortons another Tim Hortons. There were that many in town and stuff. They don't have it. They closed a lot of them because it was like, why do we have like 3 Tim Hortons on the same like street corner? Let's shut some of these down, and just have a bigger Tim Hortons basically over the years. But they're franchise owned, so one would be owned by one franchise holder, one would be owned by a different franchise holder, and I think eventually the like corporate was like, all right, we like having as many franchises as possible, but even we admit this is ridiculous. So they started like being more strict about where you could open them up or not. Why is my hair so red? Sorry, I think it's just the stream, but my hair looks like really red compared to what it actually looks like in real life. Yeah. How have you all been? I've been good. Target in Canada closed. Yeah. So Target bought out the Hudson's Bay Corporation, which was the first corporation in history, and it was like the only major Canadian corporation. But then in the 2000s, it was having financial trouble because any Canadian corporation is going to... In fact, the Hudson's Bay Corporation owned what they called Rupert's Land, which is like what most of Canada was. And when Canada incorporated as a nation, they bought a lot of the provinces from the Hudson's Bay Corporation. So Hudson's Bay owned basically everywhere from Manitoba to British Columbia, and then the Canadian government slowly had to acquire it from the Hudson's Bay Corporation as they expanded westward and northwards, because they owned the like Northwest Territories and stuff too. And then they basically just became another Canadian corporation because they were a British Crown corporation originally. And then, you know, they had the Bay, and they made a store called Zellers, which was like their discount-y type brand, kind of like Kmart and those types is what it was competing with. And then once Walmart came in, they couldn't compete with Walmart or anything. They used to have, their slogan used to be Zellers, where the lowest price is the law. And they used to have a thing where if a store had a lower price, you would send it over to Zellers, and then Zellers would like price match or make it lower. But then when Walmart came out and their stuff was so cheap, Zellers was like, yeah, we can't afford this. So then the company kind of floundered for a bit. Then Target bought the Hudson's Bay Corporation, closed all the Zellers, and made them, some of them into Targets, and then some of them they just had like abandoned the store entirely. But when Target came to Canada, it was different from Target in the US. Because I remember a lot of people, like my mom and stuff when we were a kid, and my grandmother and stuff, when we would visit the States, would go to Target in New Hampshire, where we would visit because it was like a big deal. But then when they opened Target here, everyone was super excited, but it was like way different from US Target, and people didn't like it, and it only lasted for like a year, and then they closed all the Targets. And there's still like towns and stuff where you'll see abandoned Targets or Zellers, and that all happened in like 2000. By 2008, they all closed, and they still are empty, the storefronts where they were and stuff to this day in like towns across Canada. You'll see an abandoned Zellers or Target. It's crazy, but they just like changed the Zellers slash Target in my town into a strip mall a few years ago, but it had sat empty for like over a decade before they finally did something with it. Target is Canada. It's close. I love Target store, but it did not work in Canada. No, because we did a different like formula from them. It wasn't the same store. I mean, same logos and everything, but like all the stuff that people liked about Target in the US, they didn't do in Canada. I don't know how you screwed that up, but they did. And so it was just a generic store, and so it didn't do well. And it wasn't the cheapest, and there's like no point to going to them. So naturally, and they were new in Canada, so they didn't quite have the brand recognition, so they just never had a chance. But they were mismanaged. I don't know why Target screwed up opening their Canadian branches so much, but they did such a poor job trying to introduce it that it never caught on, and it only lasted like a year before they all closed. My tummy hurts. Ah, so I'm laying down, closing my eyes, and reading comments briefly, but I'm listening. I love hearing about Canada. Tell us more, what it's like there. I'm enjoying listening. Someday you'll get to see Canada, Shani, I'm sure. I was saying that if you ever came and we had enough time, I would drive you down to Algonquin Park, because it's like it's almost like a Canadian theme park. It's where the Group of Seven painted all their paintings, and I went there before, and just driving down the highway that goes through there, you'll see like, just like looking at the side of the road, you'll just see like bears and like moose and stuff just like chilling, just like watching the cars because they're bored, standing on the side of the highway, just like, watching them as they go by and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's cool. It's like, but then I also know people that camp there, and it's like, I don't know that I'd camp there. There's other parks in Canada. One of my friends goes camping every year, and he bought what's called a mare's leg, which is like, it's a sawed-off Winchester rifle, basically, but it's like, I don't know, it's just slightly bigger than a pistol, but it's a replica of a mare's leg, and it takes 44 Magnum bullets. He bought it at Canadian Tire, which is another Canadian store that we have here that only exists in Canada. But anyway, and it looks cool. It's like this old lever action Winchester rifle, and basically he bought it because when he goes camping, they go in their canoes and they see bears along the riverbed. And the bears every year get closer and closer to their campsites, and they're like, he basically was afraid that one year when they're camping, the bear will just wander into their campsite and attack them, because he's heard in that area that they do that. So he basically bought the gun so that if they get attacked by a bear, he can defend himself. So, yeah. You wouldn't do that in Algonquin, though, because if you shot a bear there, even if it was attacking you, they'd be like, why did you bring a gun here to this national park? But other parks, they're like, yeah, self-defense. Obviously, you have a gun license, you're allowed to, you legally purchased it, and you have all the paperwork for it, it's fine. But at Algonquin Park, they'd be like, you killed a bear. Why did you do that? Even though you were being attacked and had no choice. Thank you for the Canadian talk. Take care, everyone else. Shani, I'm sorry you're sick. Oh, see you later, Hist. Hope if you're still on. Hope you enjoyed yourself. OMG, that's awesome. Hopefully I will catch your next stream, Shani. Candidates, keep your stick on the ice. Nice. Yeah. Oh, Shani's just commenting on my bear talk here, so she's like, oh wow, OMG, haha. Stuff like that, yeah. Yeah, my friend Colin has like a collection of guns, and it's really cool. His parents' house, he's got a shooting range and stuff, and we like to go. He lives in town now, but we go to his parents' house. He's restoring an old Volkswagen Beetle up there and stuff in the summer, and it's fun to just go up there and visit the like family farm. Also, the last time I got like his grandparents have a sugar shack. and made some maple syrup last year, and I wanted to buy some to send with to Shani for the care package, and they had just sold out when I was finishing up Shani's care package, so I didn't end up getting any. I had to go to the store and buy some Quebec maple syrup instead, but I was pretty close. I thought I could still get some, but they just sold the last one right when I was ready to buy it, unfortunately, and I had just started working, so I didn't have money before that, so it was just unfortunate timing. But yeah, they only do it so often. But apparently, too, last year was a really bad year for maple syrup because you need it needs to be like really freezing in the spring and then thaw out really fast, and that's how you get the best maple syrup. Because the trees just like it's almost like they want to get rid of all this. They produce so much sap that it's like crazy. Whereas it didn't do that. It thawed out too fast or whatever. It didn't get that snap cold and then snap warm that you need for a good harvest of maple sap. So the trees didn't. While it was good quality syrup, it didn't produce as much. They ran out of tree sap before, before they usually do. So, how in other ways is Canada different than the U.S. that you know of? I'm closing my eyes and imagining what it's like. Ha ha. We have milk in bags. That's something that Americans are always confused about. So we have like big pitchers that you get, plastic or porcelain or whatever, and then you buy like a bag, like a 2 liter or whatever bag of milk, and you put it in one of these pitchers, and then they have what's called a milk clip, which is like a question mark shaped device with a razor blade in it. It's like all plastic and it's got a little slit in it, and there's a razor blade inside the slit. And then the corner of the bag you put through the slit, and then you have like a little hole in the bag, and then you put the bag in the pitcher, and then the pitcher's got a handle, so you pour it, and then the milk goes through the hole. And I grew up with that, not knowing that it was any different from anywhere else. And then it was only like when I was an adult that I found out that milk in bags is like a regional thing that only Canada does and no other country on earth does. So, yeah, you guys do like gallon plastic jugs, I guess, of milk, which we have here, but nobody ever, like, you only get those when you go to the corner store and you're like, I'm out of milk, I need milk in a hurry, basically, is when you buy the plastic jugs. Otherwise, you buy like a big bag full of like 6 bags of milk, and then you freeze them or whatever until you're ready for them, and then you put them in. Yeah, so that's the thing that we have. I don't have any because I can never drink milk fast enough. It spoils before I can finish it because I don't like eat a lot of cereal or anything like that. So I don't really have any bags of milk to show you, but yeah, I'm sure if you Google that, you'll see what I'm talking about. But everybody always makes jokes about it from outside of Canada. I'm like, hey, I mean, it works. It's convenient. If I drank a lot of milk, that's how I'd go. That's when I was growing up. That's what we always had. And again, it just seemed like the normal way to do it. And then it wasn't until I was an adult that I found out that it's only in Canada. What else is different? I'm sure our accent is different. But yeah, a lot of Canadians, especially like Gen Xers and baby boomers and stuff, think that like they're really smug about Canada compared to the US and have like a weird superiority complex, which is hilarious because like we're kind of like the cheap knockoff version of the US when you think about it. Like the US is way more successful obviously than Canada is, and like, you know, you have a bigger population, you have a lot more like money, you have a lot more cultural influence with like your films and like TV shows and whatnot, and yet there's like this weird thing about how much better Canada is than the U.S. and always going on and on about Americans, and it's like, really? Like we're actually the most of the time when people immigrate to Canada, it's because it's easier to immigrate here than the U.S. And a lot of people that move here, when they first come to Canada, are like, well, I'll live in Canada for a few years, and then I'll go to the States. And then some of them are like, actually, I like it here, and they stay, but most of the time, yeah, when people choose Canada over the U.S., it's just because it's easier to move here than it is to the U.S. We have a lot more nature than the U.S., I think. I've only been to to Vermont and New Hampshire. Those are the only two U.S. states I've ever visited, and that was in the 1990s when I was a kid. So, 1995, I think, was the last time I ever went to the United States. So I'm long overdue for a trip, which is something I want to do by the end of 2022. Is my New Year's resolution is to visit the U.S. or Germany. Would be awesome too, to see Nico and stuff. Even just to go to Germany would be awesome, but 'tis expensive, and you have to plan and everything to get there. Whereas the U.S., you can drive there. Like, if I was to visit Prague, for example, it's 9 hours, which is not crazy because my family reunions are like that. We drive there. We used to drive there once every 3 years back before the pandemic, so it's not like it's unfeasible. If I was to drive to Shani's house, it would be 25 hours. If I was to drive to Shani's house from Frogs, it's the same amount of time. It's really weird because I go as the crow flies, so I drive through the Midwest. Whereas with him, you drive along the East Coast. Because of the way the U.S. like curves, it ends up being the same distance. Even though on a map, it looks like he's like half the way to Texas. It's actually the same distance because you're like kind of cutting the corner and going straight to the Texas from... I did a Google Map thing when I was bored once. And so to drive to where Shani lives, or the city that I thought that she was from at the time, it like took the same amount of time as if I was going from Frog's house. Just because of the way the U.S. coast works. Whereas I'd go straight, and I wouldn't go around the U.S. East Coast. I'd just go like straight through. I'd cut through like the Midwest and stuff on my way there. So it is kind of weird how that works out. But yeah, because I thought at one point it would be cheaper to visit him for a day or two and then go to, like, continue my trip and visit Shani someday. But then I found out that it doesn't matter. In fact, it actually would add time to go see him and then go see Shani. It'd be like 2 days instead of 1 day. Not that I would drive out there anyway, because the gas prices are like insane. So I'd have to get like an electric car or something. It's cheaper to fly by airplane. If I was like invited to be in one of your films and stay on your couch or whatever, Shani, it would be cheaper to just take a plane than to drive out there because of gas. But yeah. So, it is weird, though, because again, if you just look at a map, it looks like it wouldn't be, but it is. Because I did all that just when I was bored, like way back when you were talking about, when you were talking about doing a contest about, oh, one of you can be in one of my films, and I was like, if I won, how would I go up there? And then I was like, oh, this is more of a trip than I thought it was. Yeah, it would be cheaper for a plane now. Yeah, I think it's like $300 for like the cheapest flight was like $300, whereas by car it's like $500 with the gas, which is crazy. And that's like there and back, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, now especially with the whole like Russian oil being cut off and everything. Even though the US is still the biggest oil producer in the world, and Canada is like Canada's like I can't remember if we're the fourth largest oil producer in the world. We have like technically more oil than the US, it's just not being drilled. A lot of it too is in like protected land where the oil companies right now can't get to it because it's like we don't want an ecological crisis on our hand if something goes wrong. But yeah. So anyway, but someday the gang will hang out in person. But yeah, so that was one of my goals, was to start meeting the Shanley and just like, at least be able to shake hands or whatever. See if Shani is as short as she says that she is. um, you often make self-deprecating jokes about your height, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, proportionately, your legs look long and stuff in your photos, but then again, I don't have a point of reference that I can use. Yeah, North Catalina offers a mild climate and 300 miles of shoreline. Geographically, the state is divided in three. Its coastal plain is filled with beaches, including Outer Banks, which marks the spot the Wright brothers made their first. Yeah. But yeah, so. But either way, Frog is like busy with work a lot lately, so we haven't really seen or heard much of him much. But, at some point it would be nice to go see him, and he said before that he wants me to go visit him. And since he's, I think, the only one within, like, technically within driving, like, he's at the limit of where I would be willing to drive, I probably will make the pilgrimage. It would be nice if we could, like, all meet up there, because he's at the, like, halfway point of everyone, but whatever. Chris, you live, I'm trying to remember, you live not far from Virginia, right? Your state? Like South Carolina or somewhere, if I remember right. I don't know how far it would be out to... I don't know if you actually would want me to visit you, but in theory. But anyway, yeah, it would be cool if we could, like, all arrange for, like, a midway point where we could all meet, but we'll see. Someday we'll all hang out, I'm sure. But whether or not it'll be this year, who knows. Also, too, with Shani being sick all the time and missing work, you might not have the vacation days or budget to be able to do it anyway. So, that's something to consider. But yeah. North Carolina. Yeah, so I don't know how far that state... I think, again, I'm trying to remember just by picturing it. You're not far from there, but it would probably be like at least an hour or more, so it'd be like 10 hours to visit you or whatever, so. I think he's the only one that's within driving distance that I know well enough that I would be do it, because there's other people that live probably closer, but it's like, I don't know him well enough to just like randomly go see him and stuff yet, so, whereas like you guys, since I joined the community, I mean, Frog technically, I mean, a lot of us, like, lurked for a while before we commented, and Frog has been, like, a subscriber for whatever for longer, but I didn't start to see his comments and that come up until after I was, like, already establishing myself. Like, on Twitch and stuff, he didn't become a regular until after I was, kind of. Same with Nico / Silent Guy. They both joined around the same time or before me even, but they didn't contribute much until after I had been until after basically Shani was like, "Oh, Canadace! Hey guys, Canadace has been on before. He's really funny." And I was like, "I am?" and then I started hanging out more. And then they came on, and she's like, "Oh, hey, you guys too," and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. They were more shy. when they and just like read the stuff but didn't type anything, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to rack those vacation hours back up. Haha, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, like Texas to North Carolina, it takes about 20 hours. Yeah, because you're further south, Chris. Whereas, oh wow, 20 hours actually. So, would that mean it would be 5 hours from Frogs to your place? I'm not sure. Plus, Frog's thinking of moving to, I think, New York or somewhere. No, he's thinking of moving to Texas, which I guess it would be convenient if him and Shani hung out, but it wouldn't be convenient for me. Although, if I hung out with all of you guys, it might be good to get it all in one visit, but yeah, I don't know. That's why, yeah, I think you guys should all just move to my part of Canada. You know, just immigrate to Canada. And then I could probably house, like, you know, Shani could be my roommate, and then the rest of you could get apartments and stuff in my town, and then we could all hang out. Or whatever. No, I don't think so, but we need to have a code for to remember who we are. For example, I'd say Shani, who's your mod pappy? You should recognize me right away. Well, Chris, we all know what you, like, if you're talking about in person, we all know what you look and sound like. We'd be like, oh, hey, look, there's Chris. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Clearly we know who, and same with me, especially now that I'm on stream and everything. You guys know this handsome mug, I'm sure, from seeing it. But yeah. And Frog, I know what he looks like, and even Nico now, too. But yeah. 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 I remember even back in the day, your avatar was just a picture of you, Chris, and I always used to think when I first joined that you looked a lot like Keenan Michael Keyes from Key and Peele. So I always was like, is that secretly him? And he's just using a fake name? So in my headcanon, you were actually secretly celebrity Keenan Michael Keyes, the comedian. But I don't know, your voice is a little different, so I don't think that it's a ruse anymore. Although, if it turned out that that was the case, I wouldn't be completely surprised. You need to have... Yeah, I know Evan and Nico, not even. Yeah. Yeah, you four, I think, are the Shani, Chris, Evan slash Frog slash Fro Legacy, and Nico slash Silent Guy slash Half Evil are the only four that I actually know, like, what they look and sound like, I think, in the group. Whereas everyone else would have to be like, oh, I'm actually Death, or from above, or oh, I'm actually Hist Gaming, or I'm Meekseek, or I'm whatever. In order for us to be like, oh, right. Well, actually, no. I know what ITZ Rage looks and sounds like. Because of our squad videos, I've had to talk to him, like, privately to get all the permissions to put him on. And, like, get different stuff from him over the last while that I knew what he looked like even before and sounded like, obviously, before he joined Discord and like, had pictures of himself up on there. I knew what he, like, yeah. Just from our interactions, and sometimes he'd have photos, and I think I did a video conference with him once for something, just to ask permission for the squad video or something that we did or something like that. So yeah, I knew what he looked and sounded like, and I knew what he sounded like because I've heard his voice like when I was editing those videos, and I'd watch the same like 3 seconds of clips over and over again, and then from different perspectives, like this is from Shanny's stream, this is from Frog's stream, this is from mine. I'll take the audio clip from mine and I'll put it over the pictures of Shanny's. Or I got to know his voice so well that yeah, but even his face too, I kind of knew from different stuff. So I guess I do know him as well, just from the squad videos alone. And now he's got more of a presence on the other, like on Discord and stuff. He's been on a few times. But I'm kind of an ITZ Rage hipster. I knew him before he was cool with the rest of the Shanley. No, I'm just kidding. Speaking of which, at some point I would like to do like spin-off shows. Like I said, I'd like to do Red Dead Revolver 2, because I think it'd be cool to do a cowboy setting. Hey, 252 Studios, how's it going? Hi, just lurking. That's cool. Speaking of the Shanley, I wonder how many I got up to. I should have been checking all along my numbers, because I've had a lot of people on today. And again, I was like, it's funny because it was the day, it was almost like a throwaway thing where I was like, people were like, hey, you gonna stream? I'm like, yeah, I'll stream. And then I got like a bigger turnout than when I do like, when I film like a commercial and put it on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, and like try to draw in people. Nobody shows up. But when I'm like, hey, out of the blue, I'm gonna stream today, or like last week I was like, I might stream next week, I don't know. And then everyone's like, you gonna stream today? And I was like, well, because you said so, now I guess I have to. And now it's like, I do stream and I get like more people in this stream than I like usually get coming and going. But even still, like the variety of people, it's usually I have like 3 people the whole stream, and I've had that at a time here, so it's kind of funny, but I don't mind it. It'd be cool if I had more, once the spring starts and the hockey games end and I get my weekends back, it'll be nice to be able to get my streak up so I can get closer to affiliate. You know, get some of that mad subscriber money that Frog's like, I am an affiliate and I have subscribers. I don't know if I've ever gotten any money from that. Like, I subscribe to Frog. He's like, thanks for the sub. I don't know where the money that you pay for that goes. Supposedly I get it, but I don't remember ever actually seeing it in my bank account show up, but trying to say hi to you. Not sure if you saw my post on your streams the other day. Oh, to me, Hector? Said Shanny. Apparently this is turning into a book. OMG, I must have missed you, Shanny replied. Sorry, I don't know why I'm turning this into a story here. Hi, happy Saturday, y'all, Hector said with glee. Yeah, past couple of streams, he replied. OMG, weird. How did I miss you each time? I'm sorry, Shanny apologized to Hector. Happy Saturday, man, Chris said enthusiastically to a welcoming Hector. I don't know. Look, I don't know why I'm turning this into a book here, but I was behind a lot on comments, but also sick, so wasn't doing so good on the comments. Haha. I guess I've been dividing Twitch. Story, I like to say. Haha. Love it. Turning into a telenovela. Yeah, right, eh? Yeah, speaking of novels and stuff, this is really kind of probably lame, but when I was working the night shift, I was writing a science fiction story. And I got up to, on that yellow, like, which is longer than normal legal pad, and I got up to like 33 or more pages. I think it was like 34 pages. So, I don't know, that was kind of neat. I stopped doing it at the courthouse, though, because unlike the night shift, people could theoretically see me, and I don't know, it just, I was more self-conscious doing it there, even though there's like no one around at the courthouse I've been working lately since they switched me randomly to days. But starting whom and side acting by Shannon Castival. Yeah, telenovelas. I only know mostly telenovelas from like parodies on things, like TV shows and that Casa de Mi Padre movie that Will Ferrell did that was all in Spanish. That was pretty funny too. But yeah, we don't really get telenovelas in Canada because we don't have a very big Spanish population here. Um, and I don't really know if French Canada is interested in that type of thing. But most of their like unique programming, instead of like dramatic soap operas, they like really bizarre like slapstick, but like strange slapstick comedies where you watch them and you're like, even if you understand French, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like they're weird. The French comedy, Quebec French specifically comedies, you're like, huh? Like this is, I'm more fascinated than laughing at this. Or they're like really stupid practical joke shows that you're like, ugh, like this is too corny or whatever. But yeah, working on my soon to start streaming on here. I'll join all of you. Yeah, that's cool. Always nice when the Shanley streams and we can like guest star in each other's streams in the comments or whatever. Yes, let us know when. I'll try to be on your next stream too. Yeah, I agree. Still working on setup. Going to store to buy a few things and mount lights in the room. So no tripods. Yeah, I have to. Spanish population here in North Carolina. I'm one of them. Yeah. How's the job going? So, Hist, or not Hist, sorry, he was in earlier. 252. Hector, 252 Studio, who asked the question. It's going well. So basically last Wednesday, they phoned me. I finished my shift at 7 a.m. I got home. I went to bed. At like 10 a.m., I got woken up because the phone rang, and they were like, hey, so can you work at the Picton Courthouse starting tomorrow? I was like, I guess. And they're like, cool, we'll get somebody to cover all your night shifts. I'm like, at both sites? And they're like, yeah. So I was like, all right. So instead of working nights, I'm working for Thursday and Friday. I worked days at the courthouse in the next county over. So it's like over a half hour to get there and then half hour back. And it's going all right. It's kind of nice. I'm getting a lot, even just in 2 days, I noticed I got a lot more sleep and stuff than I normally get. So I don't know. I kind of like it, but it's only until the 25th. And then I think I have to go back to my original night shifts, but it was going all right. Even when I was doing the night shift, I kind of still want to work days and preferably in my own town and not have to drive way out in the middle of nowhere every day and use like a ton of gas. Especially with gas prices going up, I'm like, damn, I wish I could afford an electric car. They're like 22 grand though, for a used one. Partly because of the chip shortage, I think, because they need computers even more than the regular internal combustion cars do. But so, like, new ones are harder to come by, and so used ones are more valuable. And so, yeah, it's like the cheapest electric car you can get is like 22,000. So I can't afford that. So I'm not gonna. But then again, the gas prices are so much. It's like, yeah, I've never leased a car before, but I was debating whether or not it was time to try that. But yeah, start up your Waze app direction. So good. Times. Yeah, night shifts are tough because it's like working like 11:30 or 11 till midnight. 11 till midnight. Yeah. Ooh, that would be hard. That whole hour. No, working from all night until early in the morning. It's like just when I'm going to bed is like when things are opening up and that, and then when I'm waking up, everything's starting to close for the night. So it's like it's tricky to even do groceries and stuff. That was partly why I switched to Hello Fresh and things like that, just because that way they would be dropped off at my house and I wouldn't have to um, worry about figuring out groceries. And also, it's like good food for way cheaper too. So, you know, the food I was eating before wasn't super healthy and it cost probably about the same. So, as much as I'm not a fan of cooking, especially, waking up, spending a couple hours to get my food ready and then eating it and then it's like almost time to go kind of thing. I still it's still a lot healthier than just buying like crappy cheap like processed meat and making a wrap or whatever when it's time to eat. So yeah. Yeah, getting used to the night shifts is tough. It takes about 3 weeks for your body to really accept it. And even still, I find like I'm wide awake during those shifts and stuff, but then when I go to bed and that, I feel like I don't quite get into a deep sleep as much. Partly because it's like daylight out or whatever. And you just get like, you don't fully get, yeah, so. I find even just switching for the few days to day shift in that I'm a lot less grumpy or whatever. Went to buy a NVIDIA RX 3090 24 gigabytes of RAM. I've done that, but I didn't make that thing's sleep is overrated. I don't sleep well anymore. Yeah, I wasn't sleeping the best either, but that catches up to you I found I was a lot more like a little bit more paranoid and a little bit on edge more, we'll say, during the day and that, but I don't know. Elon Musk brags that he only gets like 2 to 4 hours a night now, and then since he started doing that, he's become more and more crazy. He was like the darling, like, he's the Tony Stark of our age, and now it's like, he's the Howard Hughes of our age. Brilliant in the beginning, but then he went crazy. So, and again, it was since he stopped sleeping and just worked all the time and stuff that he's like, I don't feel tired. It's like, you might not feel tired, but you're acting like you need a certain amount of sleep or your brain starts to go a little cuckoo. Plus, when nobody tells you no anymore, that's another bad thing that happens. Get on for like 4 range, but I still don't feel like I actually get any rest. Yeah. So, anyway. Alright, so. Oh, 252 Studio. This is Shani's energy drink that I'm drinking, by the way. So, I don't know if you can see that. This camera's focus sucks. Oh, See, it'll show it. You'll see it in focus for like a second, and then it'll go out. But it's Shanny Thirsts, inspired by Shanny Plays, reaction, which is made by Swift Lifestyles. So, Shanny is sponsored by G Fuel. Nope, Shanny is sponsored by Swift, which is a rival to G Fuel. G Fuel I use is white tubs. As you can see, this is a black tub, so it's completely different. Any shades of dark in your whole house gives you good sleep because... Another thing, too, is the neighbors like to hang out in the yard sometimes and, like, have conversations right outside my window, and I don't know why. My window is, like, the meeting place, but it's like, guys, especially when they're fighting, it's like, oh my god, I hate all of you. But lately, they haven't been fighting. They've been like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm doing good, you know, getting her done, keeping her easy, ha ha ha. And it's like, I'm glad you're all friends, but shut the fuck up. I'm trying to sleep. No, it's good that they get along, but it's also like, can you get along outside of my window so that I can sleep? Yeah. Hands in front of your face. Yeah. I used to work for Monster Energy. Don't drink energy drink. I gave up Starbucks. Saving up $3.40 a month. Canceled a few other things. Saving money. Yeah, I don't drink a lot of restaurants. I don't drink, like, I don't go to the Tim Hortons or the whatever McDonald's or whatever every day like some people do. Either Starbucks. The Starbucks are on the other end of town anyway, so I don't want to drive all the way out there anyway. And I never really got into Starbucks super, so I used to work actually at a Starbucks, and even then I didn't drink a lot of Starbucks. But yeah, I kind of forgot about that, actually. Yeah, I did work at a Starbucks in the early to mid 2000s for a bit. You know how many random people would just listen for no reason? Start a new channel. What's the block chats? Make money off it and stream it. What's the block chats? What? You know how many, just listen for no reason. Stream it and make money. I'd watch that. Heck yeah. Neighbor chatter. Oh yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. Yeah, some of them though, it's like, should I be calling the police? Hopefully it doesn't happen anymore, but for a while every day this neighbor and his wife, girlfriend, whatever, significant other, the two of them would fight, and it was like, at some point one of you might actually kill the other one. Like, it was getting really bad. And I was like this close to calling the police and be like, they're doing this every day and it's escalating every day. And they're like threatening to like kill each other now, and I don't know what to do. But then, like, I think the last time one of them was like basically like saying they were gonna leave or whatever, and then I didn't hear the two of them again. So I think one of them eventually, they finally smartened up enough that one of them moved out, and so they haven't been fighting anymore because they don't live together anymore, which is fine. Or they did kill each other, I don't know. But but I think they moved out actually, which is, again, I'm fine with that. Is your follow on what dirty talks? Keep up the stream. There's no identifying. Yep, this is Shanny talking. Yep, there's literally a telenovela that happens right across my doorway at my neighbor's house. We peep out the peephole to watch all the time. A lady bangs on the door all the time and begs for the guy back, and it's always hilarious. It's entertainment. Make a poll. Will they go through the drama? Will Jessica leave Tony over the dirty dishes? LOL, just make up, add the story, you have content. In Spanish? Haha, pimp out the neighbors. OMG, yes. Yeah. Yeah, lately the thing is, like, one of the neighbors will be shoveling the... There's, like, a walkway that goes around my house, and one of them will be shoveling it out, because of the snow, because Canada. And one of the other neighbors will come out and be like, oh, they got you doing the yard again. Oh, yeah, keep taking her easy, getting her done. Oh, yeah, get her done, eh? Ha, 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 ha. And then, oh, she's snowing quite a bit, eh, boys? And, like, just, like, rural Canadian slang. Like, yeah, that's basically what you hear a lot. So I don't know if it would be compelling radio drama or whatever, but just being like, oh, working hard, eh? Oh, yeah. Anyway. Oh, she's getting warmer out. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I seen that. Oh, the sun's coming out later and later. Oh, she's gonna be spring before you know it. Oh, that's good for me. It means I won't have to shovel this anymore, with my herniated disc. Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know if it's probably more entertaining what I said than what actually they say, but it's that type of thing. Why you get views and more eyeballs to watch. Just it goes adding mics to their home. Yeah. I just don't have the budget for that. Eddie ran to that door, banging on it. Absolutely no clothes. Oh, yeah. You mentioned that before, Shanny. Called the cops. Yeah, 252 Studio. You hear a lot of gunplay in the background of Shanny's streams sometimes. It's not the nicest neighborhood. It's funny. If even one of the things that happened on her stream happened in Canada, it would be on the national news here. But there, it's like, that's insert name of her neighborhood for you. And nobody gives a shit. But in Canada, if that happened anywhere in the country, like a gunfight like what happened there, it would be on the news every day for like 3 months straight of just being... And then like a year or two later, they do a big retrospective about it being like, it was only... And they do an inquiry and everything to talk... Yeah, that's one of the differences between Canada and the U.S. is the amount of gun crimes here compared to there is like... We have a lot of guns in Canada, but we just use it for hunting and shit. We don't shoot each other with them. That's the difference. Also, yeah, here we have a lot of stricter laws. So to own a handgun, you have to have all this paperwork signed, including the government will find all of your exes, like your ex-girlfriends, ex-wives and stuff, ex-common law partners, whatever. And you have to have a document signed by them where they give you permission just to make sure you don't go and, like, attack your ex. That's one of the rules that we have for guns here. And there's still, every year they talk about banning handguns, but they haven't done it yet. But, yeah. Assault rifles and stuff are obviously banned. Basically, anything that has more than a 3-round burst is banned in Canada. You can't have rapid-fire guns. If you have, like, an old World War II era rifle, like assault rifle, like, by that I mean, like, uh, Lee Enfield or an M1 Garand or SKS Russian rifle or whatever. They have to they like even they'll put a pin in the where you put all the bullets in the not the chamber the I guess the magazine has a pin in it, so you can only load. You can't put a full load like original load in it. So basically, it's designated so that the police guns always have more ammo than civilian guns. So that if you got into a shootout with police, you'd run out of bullets before the cops would, in theory. You know, we have things like that in Canada that they don't have in the U.S. as far as gun rules goes. Yeah, we have very strict gun laws. You have to go through a bunch of hoops just to own a gun. A lot of Canadians have never even, who don't live out in the country and stuff, have never actually even seen a gun. Like if you live in Toronto or whatever, in certain neighborhoods you could go your whole life without ever actually seeing a gun. Other than the cops, some of their gun holsters, you'll see the handle sticking out. But even then, a lot of times they'll have a flap or something folding over the guns. You just see the silhouette of it, but you don't actually see the weapon itself. So yeah, we have different attitudes about guns than they do in the States, for sure. Makes sense. Take video clips of Pickles and Lemon playing in their cage and have your neighbor's audio over them. Yeah, I don't really know that just seeing random footage of birds and hearing people talking about shoveling the walkway really would make any sense at all, but I've heard that ammo limits, yeah. Giving others idea for content. Yeah. So anyway, I'm guessing that probably Shani at this point you don't really want to go on after me. Like you were thinking of doing that at one point, but if you're not feeling well, I can see not wanting to do that. But yeah, I'm thinking of wrapping it up. I was at one point going to do a YouTube video actually about there's a scene in the movie Casablanca, and I wanted to do like a breakdown of the scene. And I was watching my copy of Casablanca today before I went to my friend's house, and it messed up like 39 minutes from the end and before the scene that I wanted started. And it kept messing up enough. I threw it in the PlayStation. It messed up even earlier there than it was in the PC that I was watching it on. So then I took the disc out. I sprayed like the clear Windex on it with like where it doesn't have all the ammonia and crap in it, so it wouldn't harm the disc. And I cleaned it all out and I rinsed it under the bathroom sink and I very carefully dried it, and I got one of those cloths that you use for glasses, lenses, and for cleaning screens from phones and stuff, and I wiped it all off and got it looking like it was factory fresh. I put it in and it still was like screwing up in that one part. So I think the disc is just like given the ghost. So I had to go to the used used music and video game store, used electronics I guess store, but it's mostly like video games, records, and movies that they sell. And I bought a new copy of Casablanca just because my copy, to be fair, my copy, I got it in like 2004, 2005. So it's like 18 years old, my DVD of Casablanca. And I used to watch it like all the time because it was one of my favorite movies. So I think that the disc is just like warped or finally like the age of it is caught up with it. I haven't watched it in a really long time, but I think that it was just an old disc that got watched a bunch, and it was just starting to wear out. So I never finished the movie, and then it was time to go to my friends, and then as after my friend's place, I went to the restaurant or the pub and had like a burger and a pint, and then as soon as I was done there, I came back here and streamed right away. Like I'm still wearing my jacket even. Um, so yeah, I don't really think I'll finish that video tonight, but it'll be my project for tomorrow. But yeah. Pickles and lemon on the back of the mask. Back of the mask is going. Not getting on, yeah, okay, yeah, so. Oh yeah, Freakazoid. I have that entire show on DVD. It was one of my favorite of all of the like Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, and Animaniacs. They were all made by the same people, basically. The Freakazoid was my favorite one of those shows. I liked Batman the Animated Series as well, which technically Bruce Timm started out on Tiny Toons, so he was kind of one of those guys. But then the Batman like had a completely different like group of people that worked on them. Steven Spielberg produced Freakazoid, Tiny Toons, Animaniac, and Pinky and the Brain, but he didn't produce Batman the Animated Series. So technically, even though they're both Warner Brothers Animation Studios, they're like not the same group. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but yeah, anyway, Freakazoid was my favorite. It only lasted for 2 seasons, but it was really good. And I was hoping they'd bring it back. They made a big deal about bringing back Animaniacs, and then when it came back in like 2020. So like it kind of got overshadowed by world events a little bit. I did watch the new season, and it was like, there's a lot that I wanted to see on it that they didn't quite get to, and I don't know if they've done any other seasons of it since then, but yeah, I was hoping they'd bring back Freakazoid too, but yeah. Got a lot of powder in that last sip, but yeah, so Shani's energy drink is pretty good. Again, you want to do it in a blender, not necessarily stirring or shaking it, because you just get the powder doesn't dissolve right. It's the same with well, I don't know. I've never actually done it that way with this, but I've gotten G Fuel. But my brother bought G Fuel before, and I've made it that way. And it's even with those special G Fuel cups that they have, with a little thing in it so that you can shake it. They're very powdery. I find you basically need a blender to properly dissolve all the like crystals or whatever. Yeah, no worries, Shani. I thought for sure it was going to be really sour, and I was going to be like, oh yeah. But actually, it's pretty good. Um, Aw, it means a lot to you. Well, that's good. Have you actually tried it, Shani? You should review it on your thing, since it's your drink and all. You should make an overlay promoting Shani's drink. Have a landing page with it. Make a QR code to direct viewers to it. Have a custom QR code generator. You can add a logo to it. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, Shani, are you getting paid for that, or is it just like you had to commission them to get it? Oh yeah, DuckTales. They did bring back DuckTales, Chris. I don't know if you saw that or not. It was back for several seasons actually. They had a bunch of Saturday Night Live alumni did the voice. So, and Danny Pudi was one of the Danny Pudi from the show Community, the one that played Abed. He was Huey, the red one, and then Dewey was oh frig, what's his name? Dewey was the guy that played Sonic in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Friggin'. Gonna think of his name as soon as the stream's over, but. And then Louis was another, like a Saturday Night Live guy. The guy that played Launchpad was a Saturday Night Live guy. David Tennant played Scrooge. Trying to think. Yeah, it was a bunch of like. Oh, the girl from Hall and Oates. The brunette one, Oates, I guess, or Hall. I don't remember. Anyway, the brunette one was she was Webby. So yeah. Yeah, anyway, they did a really good job. And they brought back Darkwing Duck, and they just finished the series of DuckTales, but Darkwing Duck is getting its own spin-off show, apparently. Like the reboot of Darkwing Duck. And they had one episode of where it was like Tailspin, and it was like the only one that was like actually a continuation of the show. So like Kit Cloudkicker is an adult now, and Baloo's gone missing and stuff. They only had one. Well, it was a 2-part episode about the Tailspin people, and I'm like, because Tailspin was my favorite, and I was like, oh my gosh! But it was in the last season of DuckTales, and so they hinted at all this stuff, and then they're like, well, we're never coming back to this again because it's the last season, and it's like, but Darkwing Duck is coming back. Now I want to see a Tailspin. I don't know if they'll like have him go to Cape Suzette or whatever, Darkwing Duck, to continue the story, but they left a lot of stuff in it that I was like intrigued about. I know it's really nerdy, a 37-year-old man talking about DuckTales and Tailspin and Darkwing Duck as a grown-ass man, but damn it, it was compelling television. It's like a tiny percentage I get if anyone uses my code, but I think there's a new company. There are new companies, so it should go up. But either way, it's my first sponsor where I could make my own flavor names, so I thought it was special, haha. And save that container, Canadace. It's special, ah. Yeah, it'll be a collector's item. Eventually they should change the design so that it's got your photo on it, because your brand is also your face and stuff too, Shani. So you should be on the package. Plus, it would definitely draw the eye a bit more, I think. Shani's DuckTales, woo! Do, 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 do. I can picture this song in my mind. Yeah, that DuckTales theme is a definite earworm, where you, once you hear it, you're like, ha ha ha, and then like 6 months later, you're like, it's like on a loop. Everywhere they're out there making DuckTales. Not ponytails or cottontails, no DuckTales. Woo! Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, airplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales, woo! Do 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 do. Everywhere they're out there making DuckTales, woo! Tales of daring, do bad, and good luck tales. Woo! Danger lurks behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do? Just grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! Everywhere they're out there making DuckTales. Woo! Not ponytails or cottontails, no DuckTales. Anyway, you get the idea. Discord live for a tiny bit? Yeah. Yeah, Darkwing Duck, yeah, I think Tailspin was probably my favorite. In fact, the science fiction story I'm writing isn't based on Tailspin per se, but it's kind of like... So what Tailspin is based on... This is... I feel like such a dork saying this, but I think I'm with my own people, so it's fine, because you guys are all into the same thing, I think. Tailspin... So way back in like the 30s and 40s, actually the 20s to the 40s, there was like these, they called them serials, but they were like shorts that would go before a movie. Before television, they would have like 20-minute or whatever serial, like episodic show, like movies, but they were only about 20 minutes. So you'd see a bunch of like Warner Brothers cartoons, like Looney Tunes, or like old Disney cartoons or whatever. Then you'd see a newsreel. Then there would be some live action stuff, and then eventually your movie would, like your feature would start. And then after the feature, they'd play all the trailers. That's why they're called trailers, because they used to go behind the movie, but now trailers go in front of the movie. Anyway, you don't care about that. So one of the genres was like they had like aviation thrillers or whatever that would take place in like the South Pacific. So it would be like tropical, and they'd have like you know, all of the stuff from Tales. They'd have all these like 30s like propeller planes and stuff, and they'd fly around, and they'd be all like these like you know, really good pilots, and they'd fly around on seaplanes and all this, and they'd get attacked by like air pirates and all that kind of stuff. And that was like one of the genres of serials. And then yeah, so Tailspin is kind of... There's a show called like Curse of the Golden Monkey Tail or something in like the early 80s. It was before my time, but it was a live action show based on a lot of those old serials and stuff. And Tailspin was kind of a knockoff of that show. Apparently, I read up on it. So, also, if you've seen the Studio Ghibli, is it Miyazaki? The guy that did, what's it called? Those anime films that Disney likes to import or whatever. Anyway, they were, he did one called Porco Rosso, which was really good, which is also based off the same thing that Tailspin is based off. So anyway, so my science fiction story is like, it's like one of those 30s adventure serials, but also it's taking place in space. So all the spaceships in my imagination and the way I describe it in my writing, they're all like, they all look like the old school, like 1930s, like piston airplane designs, but they're spaceships. And so instead of flying from like Pacific Island to Pacific Island, they're like in anyway, it's like kind of like Porco Rosso, Tailspin, all those old action serials, and like that whole subgenre. They even did a season of Archer that was like spoofing those type of things. Anyway, it's like that genre, but in space. But Tailspin was definitely how as a child, found out about that genre, and then yeah, later saw other things that were homaging it, or even a couple of the actual old serials that they were based on, like Here and There and so on, and yeah, so it's kind of cool. I think there's also a bunch of like pulp novels and stuff taking place in that setting as well. But yeah, sorry, trying to sing. Yeah, people are commenting on my singing now. I need to run out to store, lurking on PC. Be right back. Practically filled up. Third 8 terabyte external drive. Got another this morning. Transfer music. What are you doing that you filled up? I have a 2 terabyte one, and like I put crap on that all the time, and it's not even close to being full. And I'm putting videos and stuff on it. Mind you, I delete a lot of this stuff when I don't need it anymore. So like a lot of this stuff, all the assets that I used to make those videos for Shani that she hasn't watched yet, on that jump drive. There's only 2 videos that you really need to watch all the way through. One is like not even 5 minutes probably, and it's just to show you the like when I opened my gift, or no, when you opened my care package and showed my address, I had a thing over my address. Every time you move it around, it would follow it and stuff, so that you could like post it later and like have that like when it got to that part, it would just show like you wouldn't see the address, so you could just paste it in over top of the footage. And then the other one was the first squad video. I did an intro for it, and I edited a bit, and I added the Instagram footage of that stream with it, and did a couple other little edits, but it cuts off. So I had to have dialogue being like, sorry, this is as much of the footage that I had, and I ran out of footage before the end of the stream, and I don't know why that happened, but it did. So eventually, I was hoping that Shani would have the rest of the footage. I don't know if you do or not, but practically filled up. 3 gigabytes should drop image backup can. Graphics Yeah, I guess that's true. My camera is like not that. It's it's one I got off of. It's like a webcam type deal that I got off of. My friend gave me a bunch of gift cards and stuff to Amazon to buy some Twitch equipment, including this mic and that camera. So it's not like I'm not using like a Black Magic or a Red camera or like a DSLR even or anything like that. It's just a webcam that does the job. But yeah, I would love to get like a DSLR or something so I could go out and shoot stuff for YouTube as well as streaming, but that is more money than I have, so it's not going to happen. If I had that kind of money, I'd use it for taking trips or getting a new car or even like putting a mortgage down on a house and not living in an apartment anymore, but I don't have that kind of money, so I'm not going to spend it on that. Oh, your router has a timer and it shuts off at midnight? Okay. That's in like just over an hour, like an hour and 10 minutes, so. Alright, so Shani, I don't know if you're still on. Do you still want to go on Discord? Because we can do that. Sorry. Visit my parents in Jersey. Oh, it looks like I just went on Discord. Looks like Frog's having stomach issues as well. Shani, wake up! Alright, so, yeah, I think this stream is starting to wind down anyway. So, we'll probably, oh, what do we get here? Yeah, so we'll probably wind down for here. I might go on and hang out with Shani and whoever else on Discord, but as far as this stream goes, I think we've reached, it's a good place to end for now, especially for people watching the rebroadcast, because I know when I stream on Streamlabs, it automatically simulcasts to YouTube and Facebook, so yeah, then it like records it onto YouTube as well, so people can go back to my YouTube channel later and see what they missed. So I'm sure if you're watching the VOD on YouTube or even the Twitch version, it's probably gonna get boring before too long as I run out of things to say and whatnot. So yeah, thank you for coming. So yeah, I guess we'll head over to the after party, we'll call it, over on Shani's Discord page. So yeah, I have another hour before the router shuts off. Yeah. Alright, so I'll end the stream now and we'll, I guess, go over to Discord chat. So thanks for hanging out, and some of you I'll see shortly, but otherwise, thanks for coming out, and have a good night. I probably won't be able to stream again until second weekend of April, just a heads up, because there's hockey games that I gotta do security at every Saturday for the rest of the month, so I only have Sundays off, and then I sleep most Sundays. And Shani also does her stream, and I don't want to interfere with that, so yeah. Well, loved watching and chatting, Canadace. Aw, I liked chatting with you too. I always enjoyed chatting with you guys. I'm always nervous because it's like you come on here sometimes and nobody's on, and it's like sad. Especially, like I said, when I put a lot of effort into advertising it and saying, I'll be on at this time, and then nobody shows up, you're like, man, I had a whole thing planned that I was going to do and everything. Whereas this one was like, last week I was like, yeah, I have it off, I might stream. And then people were like, on Discord and different things were like, hey, you're going to stream? And I was like, I guess I still will do that. I didn't finish watching the Snyder Cut because that movie is long. We only finished the first disc, and I was like, there's 2 more hours of this, and it's like 6 o'clock already. We're gonna watch the rest of that some other date, because this movie is. I was also starting to tune it out by the end of the disc anyway, and they hadn't even brought Superman back from the dead yet, so I was like, no, I need to stop. I'm not even paying attention to the movie anymore. So, yeah. Anyway. Alright, so talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming out, and you kids have fun now. Once again, this has been your BFF from Canada. Bye! Oh, 252 Studios. So you go into the voice channels, and one of them will be like lit up. I think it'll be Shanty time probably. And then once it's like lit up with people in it, you just click on it and it'll prompt you from there. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.